The First World War, 1914 to 1918, was a milestone in history, as it was the greatest war conflict in the world up to that time. But few know that it was not only a showdown between countries, it was also indirectly a family dispute. The three main nations of the conflict, Germany, the UK, and Russia, had in common not only the fact that they were the greatest powers on the planet at the beginning of the 20th century, they also shared a bond that, until then, seemed to ensure harmony between them. They were ruled by monarchs who were part of the same family, that of Queen Victoria, who reigned the United Kingdom for 63 years until 1901. And the monarchs were not distant relatives. The German Kaiser Wilhelm II, the first to declare war, was Queen Victoria's eldest grandson. The Russian opponent, Tsar Nicholas II, was married to Alexandra, another granddaughter of Victoria, and a favorite of the British monarch. Also, Wilhelm and Nicholas were step-cousins of George V, also the grandson of Queen Victoria, who decided to enter World War I on the side of Russia and France. But they were not the only sovereigns in Victoria's family, who had 9 children and 42 grandchildren with her husband, German Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. The couple's descendants even occupied the thrones of 10 European nations, which is why the monarch was nicknamed Europe's grandmother. But, as in many families, especially such a powerful one, there are affinities, but also strong rivalries. And these tensions eventually fueled a war that engulfed an entire continent, causing millions of deaths. One of the most surprising things to historians about World War I is that it united two historically not-so-close countries, Britain and Russia, against a traditionally British allied nation, the German Empire. To understand this, some feel that one must go back to the personal history of the Saxe-Coburg and Gotha clan. The seed of discord can even be traced to 2 events: the marriages of the 2 eldest children of Victoria and Albert. Vicky, as the eldest of the 9 siblings was known, married in 1858 to the Crown Prince of Prussia. The latter, years later, became Frederick III of Germany after German unification. Albert, the first male child and heir to the throne, Edward VII, married Princess Alexandra of Denmark in 1863. Both marriages, arranged by Queen Victoria, seeded what happened half a century later. Princess Vicky and Prince Frederick gave birth to Wilhelm after a year of marriage, but their relationship with their eldest son and heir to the throne was strained from the start. During the birth, Wilhelm was flipped over in his mother's belly. In an attempt to get him out, the doctor injured the baby's left arm, leaving him disabled for the rest of his life. The mother could never accept what she considered a defect in her son and kept a distant relationship with him throughout his life. This was an experience opposite to that of Wilhelm's cousin brother, George, second son of the Prince of Wales, Albert and Alexandra. Alexandra of Denmark was a particularly loving mother to her 6 children. Many associate her with another Princess of Wales, who lived much later, Diana Spencer, better known as Lady Di, as both were adored by the people and considered exemplary mothers. But unlike Diana, Alexandra was a foreigner, which played an important role in the family dynamic. As Alexandra was a great defender of her country, Denmark, she felt very aggrieved when part of the Nordic nation was annexed by Prussia and Austria, a year after her marriage. For this reason, her family had limited relations with Vicky and Frederick, and cousins Wilhelm and George did not live closely together. Instead, the future British king had a fraternal relationship with Nicholas, future Russian Tsar. Nicholas was the son of Dagmar of Denmark, Alexandra's sister, who married the heir to the Russian throne, Alexander. And it also explains why George V and Nicholas II had striking physical similarities. The sisters Alexandra and Dagmar were close and known to bring families together every summer in Denmark, creating a bond between British and Russian royalty. The bond became even stronger when young Nicholas fell in love with Alice of Hesse, the German daughter of Alice of the UK, the 3rd child of Victoria and Albert, who passed away when the children were young. Raised by her maternal grandmother, Alice had a close relationship with Victoria, which allowed a relationship between the monarch and the Russian Tsar, whom she was initially suspicious of. In contrast, Wilhelm, His 7 brothers and sisters and parents were not invited to the summer gatherings arranged by Alexandra and Dagmar. Nor was the future Kaiser able to bond with his British family during the annual gatherings. Historians say that what began as a sporting rivalry between Wilhelm and his uncle, the future King Edward VII, who succeeded Victoria in 1901, eventually became a competition to see which country had the greatest maritime power. The first blow to relations between the families occurred in 1888, after the death of Wilhelm's father, Emperor Frederick III, who reigned only 99 days in Germany due to throat cancer. When his father died, Wilhelm immediately ordered the military to lay siege to the royal palace, where his mother, Princess Vicky, still lived. The goal was to find all the monarch's documents. The latter, unlike her son, was liberal and supported a constitutional monarchy system. This deeply resented the heir to the British throne, Vicky's older brother. Wilhelm identified much more with Russian authoritarianism. He was a huge admirer of Tsar Nicholas III, Nicholas's father. However, Alexander was a family man. He was appalled at the disrespect the new German emperor had toward his father when he passed away. Ignoring the rejection caused by him, the new Kaiser believed he could control the foreign policy of the Second Reich. In 1890, he dismissed Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, the German unification architect. This ultimately hurt the alliance between Germany and Russia. Tsar Alexander signed a pact with France. In 1904, Britain entered into an agreement with historical rival France. 3 years later, it made a pact with another great enemy of the 19th century, Russia. Surrounded by the other powers, Germany allied itself with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. These pacts defined the two blocs of the First World War. The trigger for the conflict was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophia on June 28, 1914, during a visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. The couple was killed by a group fighting for the liberation of Bosnia-Herzegovina from Austro-Hungarian rule, demanding the territory's integration into Serbia for the creation of a Yugoslav nation-state. In a domino effect, the murder sparked the different alliances. The Austro-Hungarian Empire declared war on Serbia. Germany supported this and declared war on Russia and France, Serbia's allies. When German troops invaded Belgium to reach France, they violated the country's neutrality, leading the United Kingdom to join Russia and France in the Triple Entente. In 1915, Italy joined them, and the United States did the same in 1917. The opposing bloc was made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey, the Triple Alliance. The Great War between the major European powers lasted 4 years, killing 17 million soldiers and civilians due to the use of new chemical weapons, such as asphyxiating gas, and modern machine guns and tanks. The conflict ended with the surrender of the Triple Alliance in November 1918. The war was not only devastating for Europe, but also severely wounded the monarchy. A third of the 120 or so members of Victoria's extended family lived in territory inimical to the British Empire. Of the 3 cousins who caused the conflict, only one won: George V, grandfather of the current Queen Elizabeth II, who changed his family's German surname to the British Windsor. William II not only lost the war, he also lost his crown. He abdicated the throne and fled to Holland. He was Germany's last emperor. But the worst fate was that of Nicholas II, executed by the Bolsheviks, who took power months before the war ended, alongside his wife and children. The First World War was the demise of 4 monarchies, controlled by Victoria's descendants: Germany, Russia, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey. And the sovereigns who held the crowns lost much influence and power, being relegated to more symbolic tasks. The plans of the grandmother of Europe, whose goal was to fortify the monarchical system and harmonize the continent through royal ties, brought about the opposite.